Diddy facing 11 years for interstate charges right now. So says the prosecution that Diddy is facing 11 years for interstate charges. So says the prosecution. Some people were saying 2 years. Defense saying 14 months. Some people saying 5 years. Tisa tells them, say, he gonna get 20. I said he getting 20. That's what Tisa them said. I don't know. But what we do know is that we have the victim impact statements and we have the sentencing memorandum. So salute to everybody on the way in. I want everybody dropping a like on the way in. I will be doing a poll. So I want y'all slapping the poll on my great granny soul. Slap the poll because the poll is saying, what do you think he's going to get? Is it time served? What do you think? If you missed the poll and you're not live when I'm live, all you got to do is get in my comments on this video after it's live and let us know what you think he's going to get. That don't mean we're the judge, the jury, or the executioner, man. We just got a thought. We've been hearing about this. We've been watching it. We've been seeing it. That's it. It's all in our world. It's all in reality. So that's all it is. So salute to everybody on the way in. God bless up all of yourselves. And I'm saying salute to everybody. Y'all know what to do. Make sure y'all dropping likes and everything. We getting into this read right now.
All my niggas from the Hooters. All my niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn racks. All my niggas turn shooters. On the internet, you ain't been as right. You been stuck in a computer.
All right, cool. This is where we at with it. This is where we at with it. I'm going to start this from scratchy datchies. All right, we're going to start this from scratch. Salute to everybody on the way in. Everybody drop a like. Hold on, let me just drop this pause with that too, because, you know, it just sounds pause. Hold on, let me just put the poll in real quick. All right, cool. What is this one? Hold up. Let's get to it. That's facts. Hold on, let me do this poll real quick. All right, cool. Is Diddy getting time served? That's it. That's it. So that means whatever he getting besides that. It could be more, it could be whatever. It could be 5, it could be 3, it could be whatever it is. But we know that he's been in there for like a year and change. So if he's going to get more than that, you just let us know what y'all thinking about the whole situation, all right? So let's get into this quick little breakdown. All right, where we at with it? All right, cool. You know, we here with it too. So salute to everybody. Let's try this again. Everybody slapping the likes from the way in. Everybody hitting the poll on your way in. You already know the vibes. All right, cool. I already got to page 3 on my last read. I should just start this from page 3 anyway. But this is Cassie talking about all of these things, all right? Which was a highlight point of the first beginning. I'm going to show you the truth, is that while the defense was arguing for the bail, they were saying that Cassie and Diddy's relationship was like this love affair type of deal. But in this, Cassie said this was far from some sort of love affair, wonderful thing. You know what I'm saying? She said it was horrible. She said it was horrible. It was horrific. You know what I'm saying? Look, this physical violence causes bruises. Makeup artist paid for by Sean would cover it up. You know what I mean? As well as permanent scars all over her body. And she went into really, really specifics in this. I read the first 2 pages on my last read. I really didn't feel the energy in there, so I started my stream again. So salute to that. All right. She said, during my time with Combs, I was in a constant state of hypervigilance, as I was always anticipating demands for SEX acts or otherwise fearing retribution for any perceived slight. My descent into substance abuse was directly correlated with the increased control over my body, my money, my freedom, and my free will. I used those D-rugs to push through the horrifying SES acts while he demanded and to numb myself to the physical pain and emotional turmoil I was constantly in, while the defense attorneys at the trial suggested at the time with Combs was akin to a great modern love story. This part right here I'm talking about, right here. This part right here, okay? Okay, so I just want y'all to take a look over on that. Okay, and I think that this is going to come to hurt Diddy in some shape, form, or fashion. Okay, give me 1 second. All right. All right. Where we at with it now? Okay. Damn dog over here bugging. Hold up. Boom. All right. So like I said though, I think that this part right here is kind of critical. You know what I mean? It's crucial to what the defense was trying to push. You know what I'm saying? He said nothing could be further from the truth. Nothing about this story is great, modern, or loving. This was a horrific decade of my life, stained by abuse, violence, forced sex, and degradation. Right? He says, I spent the last 7 years of my life slowly rebuilding myself, physically getting clean from the drug abuse that Sean Combs forced and encouraged, and mentally understanding how to live with a seemingly unsurmountable level of trauma. The horrors I endured drove me to have thoughts of unaliving herself. Ones I almost followed through on, if not for my family intervention and urging that I seek professional care. I have been to rehab and I have taken part in dozens of types of therapy modalities and to confront, compartmentalize, and cope with the horrific memories of sexual and emotional abuse I endured for nearly 10 years. While what he did to me is always present. I'm slowly learning how to live my life free of fear and horrors I endured. And in doing so, am fully devoted to my husband and my children. I still have nightmares and flashbacks on the regular, everyday basis and continue to require psychological care to cope with my past. My worries that Sean Combs or his associates will come after me and my family is my reality. I have, in fact, moved my family out of New York, out of the New York area, and am keeping as private and quiet as possibly can because I am so scared that if he walks free, his first actions will be swift retribution towards me and others who spoke up about his abuse at trial. This is not nice. Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. Might not be nice, man. You got the poll in there, bro. What y'all think he getting? Time served? If not me, he getting anything more than 2, 3, whatever the case may be. But right now is looking is but this is Cassie. This is the main victim, bro. It's the main person. This is who the whole case was all about. This is what everything was all about. And this is what Cassie's saying now. All right. Yes, this looks like them people, the prosecution themselves, has taken her statements or maybe said, you know what, we're gonna draw up something that we feel based on da 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 da, and you look it over. You know what I'm saying? And tell me. You know what I mean? So maybe Cassie wrote this. Who knows? Maybe her people wrote it, but she signed off on it regardless of the fact. So it basically speaks to how she feels. But how it's written is just so in a way that I think it may impact the sentencing, just the way this is written. So if you think that the way this is written alone will impact sentence, let me know in the comments. If you don't think it, then let me know in the comments. All right. She says, swift retribution, abuse at trial. Okay. As much progress as I have made in recovering from my abuse, I remain very much afraid of what he is capable of and the malice he undoubtedly harbors towards me for having the bravery to tell the truth. His defense attorneys claim that he's a changed man and he wants to mentor abusers. I know firsthand what real mentorship means, and this disgusts me. He is not being truthful. I know that who he was to me, the manipulator, the aggressor, the abuser, the trafficker. Wow. Cassie, did Cassie say? Cassie never said this in trial. The prosecution is foul. Y'all know y'all did this, bro. Stop, bro. Stop. Stop, bro. All right, this is Cassie's words, maybe how she feels, regardless of the fact she feels like this. So you can't say she doesn't, but she didn't speak like this at trial. She did not use certain words. She never called the male people toots and nothing like that, bro. You see what I'm saying? She even said act like she had some love for Diddy. Maybe she got into some things with Alex after the thing to say, yo, you act like you still love him and all that. I don't know. Maybe this is her, but she never used this right here. The trafficker? That's crazy, bro. Yo, that's crazy, bro. I'm sorry, bro. The judge is reading this over like, yo, he gotta do something about this, bro. He gotta do something, bro. This is crazy. He says, is the trafficker, is who he is as a human. Nasty work. He has no interest in changing or becoming better. He will always be the same cruel, power-hungry, manipulative man that he is. When I came out with my allegations in my civil case, he flatly denied them again and again. It was only after actual video footage corroborated the exact words in my civil complaint that he issued in sincere apology on the internet. Thanks to the footage and my testimony, this is also something that he will forever be associated with. For over a decade, Sean Combs made me feel powerless and unimportant, but my experience was real, horrific, and deserves to be considered. While the jury did not seem to understand or believe that I engaged in FOs because of force or coercion the defendant used against me, I know that is the truth, and his sentence should reflect the reality of the evidence of my lived experience as a victim, reliving in detail the events and truth described throughout the trial. And this letter causes me tremendous emotional pain. I am trying with all that I am to move on. I hope that your sentencing decision reflects the strength it took for victims of Sean to come forward. I hope that your decision considers the many lives that Sean Combs has upended with his abuse and control. I thank you for your time and attention. Cassie Ventura Fine. Wow. Wow. That alone was crazy. Diddy in his trial right now, like, yo.
Oh, no, you can't be serious. That is some bullshit right there.
Diddy is in his cell. Like, that is some bull right there, bro. That's crazy. Because, listen, she did not speak with that type of vitriol like that. And that's what I thought was missing from the trial. Some of that grit. You know what I'm saying? People was there talking about him, but they was talking in a way like they still loved him in some way. And they was talking like they didn't want him to get the 10 to 20 and the 30 years in the life. That's how they was kind of speaking. You know what I'm saying? But we see now with Cassie's on. Cassie has swung for the fence. She's singing a whole nother tune. Not to say a whole nother tune because she's the first one to come out against him, but I'm just saying, the way she's speaking to this is saying, yo, man, put this man away. If she was speaking in that courtroom like this, or, you know what I mean? Bro, I'm telling you, Jane had more of that for him than Cassie did. And if she was speaking more like that, it'd have probably been different for Diddy. You never know. So maybe the jury looks into it. Maybe the jury believes some more. Who knows? But some of this right here that she has right here was missing. All right, cool. Let's see what else we have. That's crazy. Exhibit B. Nasty work. Nasty work. We're going through it again. Okay. We are writing to you as extremely concerned parents regarding the upcoming sentencing of the defendants referenced above. We have read many online reports that state that months are being suggested for his punishment sentence as opposed to the many years that we feel he deserved. 11. Put the number. 11 years is the length of time this horrific nightmare lasted. That's why they pushing for 11 years. Yo, I'm wondering why they pushing for the 11. Cassie was winning for 11 years. Makes sense why they're doing this. So they come in right. They come in strong. Prosecution coming strong, bro. They come in like psychological. Cassie was in this thing for steady. Trying to make now what they're trying to do is make the judge look at it like 11 years, bro, is what Cassie been through this. Maybe the jury didn't see this. Nobody else seen this, but you got to see that Cassie's been through this for 11 years, but she wasn't really through this for 11 years. She was really through this for like 9 years because she was first introduced to FOs at 22, even though she was with him from 19. So if they really want to get crazy, they supposed to be pushing for 9. Actually, because that's when the FO started. I was there. I watched the whole case. So let's stop it. They was in some relationship, loving and whatever, right? She left her man at the time, cheated on her man actually, and went and freaked Diddy off on a boat. Yes, she did, Cassie. You did. Okay, cool. So now you was with him for a couple of years. And when you were 22 years old, he introduced voyeurism to you. So we'll start that from 22 years old. So boom, right? Not from 19. But the grooming or whatever she feels probably started from that age, which prepped her or prepared her for her to be in that position, maybe. So maybe she feels that way, but she didn't speak in that manner during the trial. All right, 11 years is the length of time this horrific nightmare lasted. During that time, our daughter was beaten repeatedly and exposed to harmful and copious amounts of drugs. She was held like a prisoner, kidnapping, by the defendant. When her face told the story of a beating, she was coerced to perform sexual acts with strangers, toots, to be exact, for the defendant's own sexual gratification. None of the sexual acts were consensual, as there is no consent in a domestic violence relationship. I don't know if I go that deep, but this is the parents. Her mom's probably speaking. Some of that was consented to. Maybe some of it wasn't, because at times it was up. You know what I'm saying? She couldn't stop it. She had to do it during STD. She had sex on her menstruation period. While she was abused, she was putting makeup over abuses, going out still doing FO, still performing. Yeah, so it was a lot. It was a lot. But at times she probably wanted to do it. But this is her mother. So parents are always going to speak the way parents are going to speak. So we're not going to take away from her parent. You know what I'm saying? She said there's no consent in a domestic violence relationship. There was always a threat of violence. Everything she did with, for, and because of this defendant was self-preservation. She was, in actual fact, brutalized by the defendant's power and depravity. Our daughter is dealing with the psychological, emotional, as well as the trucks is going by. Hold up, bro. I don't feel like closing this. That truck go by. Cool. She says, our daughter is dealing with the psychological, emotional, and physical aftermath of the abuse that she endured at the hands of the defendant. She will be left to deal with the trauma of his abuse far beyond a 27-month sentence with time served, as suggested by the defense attorneys. We believe the charges that the defendant was convicted of are not only federal crimes, but they are also severe violation of human trafficking, of human self-worth and freedom. Severe violations of human self-worth and freedom. Clearly a vile abuse of power, coupled with an immense disregard for human life. To sentence lightly in this case that involves such vicious abuses of our daughter's body, safety, and dignity is to dismiss her very existence. To sentence lightly would also send a dangerous message. That's what I'm saying is scary. Because this judge, this is what I've been telling you from this whole time, ever since this happened, that this judge has on his hands, that this case is unlike a lot of other cases. So how he rules on this case will basically set the precedence of how people in the future may get tried and charged with this case. So he also has that. So it's not just how he feels. It's not just that if he feels Diddy's did enough time, he also has to think about other people that might be charged with this crime in the future, because this charge hasn't been charged in this way, in any way like that, in a while. That's why they're citing these old cases. You see what I'm saying? So this is just like an extraordinary case. But she said it sends a dangerous message. A sentence that is handed down in months instead of years sends a message that such repulsive behavior can happen without meaningful consequence. In closing, we are her parents. Urge you to deliver a sentence that appropriately reflects the severity and depravity of the abuse, the breach of trust, and the suffering that our daughter experienced. The justice system must be a place where the voices of those who have endured actual and physical abuse are heard, believed, and honored with appropriate accountability. Thank you for your time and your consideration, Regina and Roderick Ventura. That's Cassie's mom and her pop. So that's nasty work. They penned that up. They penned that up already, right? Let me say, it's nasty work, man. And who's this one now? Let me see who it's gonna be. Damn, they said a lot. Damn, who's this? Capricorn Clark? Oh, this Mia. Oh boy, it's Mia, y'all. Nasty. Hold up. This is Mia right here, bro. Lord. Let me just check on my stream, see what's going on. Salute to everybody in the building. You already know. It's crazy, bro. What y'all think? Is Diddy getting time served? What we thinking? Y'all make sure I hit that poll. This is Mia, man. They got Mia statements, and Mia wrote a lot. Cassie's mom kept it short and sweet. Lucky. She'd even mention the things that she went through I mean, like the supposed extortion when he asked for the money. She'd even mention that. Diddy's lucky for that, bro. Look, he need to clap your hands, bro. You need to clap his hands that she didn't mention that. He says, I am writing to you on behalf of my younger self. Wow, that's how she started it. It's crazy. The little girl who once dreamed without fear, who believed the world was full of possibilities, who had faith in goodness of people, and who trusted that her hard work, big heart, and integrity could carry her toward a bright and meaningful future. That little girl is gone. She was buried alive by an abuser, trapped in a world of terror, abuse, humiliation, and coercive control. This letter has been excruciating to write. These people wrote their own letters. It's crazy. They wrote their own letters, bro. Cassie wrote that letter, bro. It's crazy for him, son. Other than during my testimony, I've had to encourage he said, I've had the courage to discuss my abuse publicly. It feels impossible to describe as I'm slowly just beginning to unravel the tangled web of trauma of myself. But I decided that it is better to try to describe the permanent damage that Sean Combs, my abuser, has caused me rather than to remain silent any longer. I began working for my abuser in my early 20s after I moved to NYC with only a mattress on my car and a dream in my heart. I was made to believe that it was an opportunity of a lifetime to work with him, work for him. I was young and naive. I wanted to make a name for myself. I wanted to change the world for the better through my creativity. My dream was to one day become a writer, producer, and performer. In these early years, I was hopeful and I was innocent. From the start, however, my abuser preyed on that innocent and what I thought was a once in a lifetime opportunity gradually became a never ending nightmare. I experienced manipulation, humiliation, coercion, and violence. I was groomed, exploited, and broken down. He stripped me of my freedom, my safety, my identity, my instincts, and my autonomy. He alternated rewards and punishments to break down my self worth and instincts, creating dependency and confusion. He dangled my dreams before me like a carrot, promising opportunity, mentorship, and advancement. He controlled every part of my life. I needed his permission for everything: when I could sleep, when I could eat, when I could use the bathroom, when I could go to my room, and even whether I could buy tampons.
Oh no, you can't be serious. That is some bullshit right there.
He created a life where nothing was mine, and I lived in a constant fear because his moods would determine my right to exist. Asking for compensation for my labor, including overtime requests or reimbursement requests for work related expenses, would lead to him throwing a tantrum, yelling, and sometimes throwing objects in my directions in an effort to humiliate me. He framed my request as stealing and made me ashamed to accept any income at all. Through through his financial manipulation, he kept me dependent and trapped. My work for the defendant was not a job. It was captivity. His coercive control and unpredictable violence left lasting psychological scars, anxiety, and hypervigilance, disassociation, self doubt, and an ongoing struggle to reclaim autonomy. Crazy. Years of abuse and rewired, he said, years of abuse have rewired my brain. Even today, I feel trapped in a mental and emotional pattern that he created. I live with chronic and severe PTSD, depression, and crippling anxiety. I suffer from deeply intrusive thoughts, derealization, panic attacks, night terrors, and insomnia. When I can get a few precious hours of sleep, those hours are often filled with nights of terror that wake me up in a breathless sweat, screaming and crying. I awake with my heart pounding, gasping as if I am still trapped. I have struggled to feel safe in any workplace because of my PTSD, which has resulted in a fragmented professional record, a bankruptcy application, and crippling debt. I can't go to many of the public places that I once loved: concerts, festivals, clubs without risk of having a panic attack. I've struggled to set roots in any location and build a community of support for fear that my abuser would find me and ruin my life all over again. I avoid social media. I can't listen to music I once loved. I can't watch many TV shows or movies, all for fear that I might unexpectedly be triggered and have to relive some of the worst moments of my life. Now, all of this trauma was compounded by the impact of my testimony at my abuser's trial. The investigation and pretrial process threw me back into a world that I had spent years desperately trying to suppress. I had buried so many terrible memories of abuse, including violence and actual assault, that I was forced to dig up and relive. I cannot overstate the traumatizing impact of reading his threatening emails, reviewing old photos and videos, and hearing his voice again. Every meeting felt like a hammer striking at the fragile foundations of my healing. The anticipation of testifying was also horrendous. My therapy sessions were spent bracing for the unfathomable moment that I would face him in a courtroom, in your courtroom, better yet. Instead of focusing on rebuilding my life or forging a new future, when I tried to imagine walking into a crowded courtroom and facing him, I would black out. For months, I suffered from panic attacks. My tongue swelled, my stomach dropped, my hands went cold, my legs became numb. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat. The feeling of dread and terror was so intense that I couldn't hide it. I would randomly burst into uncontrollable childlike sobs. I found myself I found myself self-isolating for fear of being a burden on people that I love. I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't know how to say I was not okay. I had been conditioned for so many years to believe that my needs were unimportant and that any emotion was forbidden. If I expressed any indication that I was suffering or unwell, I could be in imminent danger. I wanted to jump out of my skin. I felt relentlessly ashamed. There were times when I did not want to live. As a result of the defense's team's tactics during my testimony, and despite my use of a pseudonym, my identity has been publicized. My name is no longer my own. It is forever linked to my abuser's violence. My sweet, loving parents had to read horrible details about the abuse of their daughter, riddling them with anxiety and leading them to unfairly question themselves, as if they could have done anything to prevent this. Everyone I have known and everyone I will meet will know my darkest moments. Even the children in my life, my sweet niece and my nephew, my loving goddaughter and godson, my friends' children who inspired me to tell my truth, will one day read the vile details of my abuse. Although the verdict fell short of justice that I had hoped for, the defendant was still found guilty of serious crimes. What he stole from me cannot be returned. It cannot be reduced to years of money. He stole my freedom, my sense of safety, my ability to trust myself and others, and my confidence. He stole my dreams of having a stable, healthy family of my own, my career trajectory, and both my creative work product and creative aspirations. He stole 16 years of my life, the time that I should have spent developing into the independent woman that I was meant to be. My life has been profoundly broken. I'm pleading on behalf of my inner child, the sweet, hopeful, bright eyed girl who could not survive the defendant's abuse, and for the woman I should have become who was robbed of her future. I am pleading for the brave victims that came forward and the countless other victims who continue to suffer, who have been scared into silence. The defendant has shattered many lives, and they too deserve justice. They too deserve to live without the shame or fear. The victims of actual, psychological, and violent crimes, especially against women, are often forced to prove themselves while reliving the trauma that destroyed them. We are questioned, doubted, humiliated, re-victimized, as if surviving and coming forward to tell the story of our survival makes us suspect. We are forced to serve a life sentence of living with the consequences of the defendant's abuse every day. Finally, I am pleading on behalf of future generations who deserve a world where predators cannot escape accountability. This is crazy, bro. This is gonna clip Diddy. This is gonna, yo, son, Diddy might get the 11, bro. Nasty work. Diddy. Damn, son, yo, listen to me, yo. Yo, they trying to clip Diddy wings with this one, bro. Listen to me. Yo, where I'm at. Where my screen at? I'll bring myself back on screen. Yo, listen. On Sandals of Jesus. Yo, bro. It's nasty, bro. It's nasty. I don't care what side of the fence you think you on this case right now. Reading these victim impact statements. What's crazy is this, you know. Everybody went in there and spoke their speech. So I'm not gonna say nobody was acting like nothing, but the way these victim impact statements are reading, I'm telling you, I was in the court every day. I seen me and them testify. I seen all these people testify, bro. Cassie, Jane, everybody. I watched everybody testify. And these words from this victim impact statements are hidden much harder than the trial. And it's not even that long, son. It's just some quick. So imagine if they came in there with the ferociousness for Diddy. Like, nah, it's him. Imagine if the women really came in there with the ferociousness for him, son. It'd probably turned out different for him. If they came with some of this, I'm telling you, bro, it wasn't like this, bro. It really wasn't. The prosecution was trying to pull this out of me or pull this out of them. You know what I'm saying? Then we know that who went against me. I think Steele, right? I think Steele at first, and then he went at it a little bit. I think he called her a name or something like that, and then I think Westmoreland went at me. I think, right? Yeah, man, it's crazy, man. Let's finish up Mia's though. She says, Your Honor, I ask that you do justice through the sentence that you imposed on October 3rd, 2025. She says, the defendant's wealth, power, and fame should not place him above the law. These forces have shielded him for too long. Certain words you don't want to hear, some, because you know it's true that, you know what I mean, at that level and that power, you know what I mean, many people, you know, Diddy himself, you know, people getting away with that. They're getting away with a lot, bro. They're paying off people, and that's how it is when you up there. That's crazy. So when she brings that, that's harsh for him. That's harsh for him. Shielded him for far too long. I ask you to deliver a sentence that reflects the full measure of harm that he has caused, the years of coercion, financial abuse, humiliation, physical and sexual violence, and the profound trauma that he has inflicted as a result. I ask you to deliver a sentence that takes into the account the ongoing danger my abuser poses to me and others. Oof. A sentence that honors the truth, the pain, and the lives that have been destroyed. A sentence that gives us hope, protection, and justice. So please help us believe that the legal system can offer justice to innocent and vulnerable victims, and that those with power, wealth, and influence cannot destroy lives without consequences. Help us to believe in a world where survivors are heard, believed, and protected. Help us to restore the belief that good can prevail. Help us to ensure that no one else suffers as we have. Help us to believe that justice can and does exist by holding our abuser fully accountable. Now, please, Your Honor, you have the power to show us, the world, and the future that our lives, our voices, and our truth in our humanity matter. Please help us with gratitude and respect. Mia, it's crazy. Crazy, bro. That's crazy. So regardless of what you think about that, that's crazy. Because I've been talking to you about that, what the judge has on his hands. It's not been cases like this. I mean, Diddy's a big figure. Other people could get tried with this in the future. You know what I mean? What are you going to do? Are you going to leave some mark? This is his big case. This is the judge's OJ case. You know what I'm saying? Big cases like this don't come around. It comes around every little so often. It's like whoever's getting Luigi Mangione case, the guy that, you know what I mean? Certain cases is big cases, bro. But this case is different because it also has race-related issues. In some senses, people made it like a black thing, even in a black and white thing. It became some of that outside. You know what I mean? It became a lot of different things. People had their own spin on this case. You know what I'm saying? So what do we think the judge is going to do? I don't know. But everybody hit the poll. Everybody hit the likes. And make sure you're getting that up. Exhibit D. I'm going to try to run through it. It's a lot to read. So I'm going to read some other stuff later too. I'm going to read some. I can't read all this stuff. Where my shit at? But yeah, can't do this. Puff the Magic Dragon or something. Live by the sea, homie. Hey, y'all probably even dropping those likes. Like some real ops. But take it a puff. Magic Dragon, Obi. Don't tell me I won't download this and re-upload this to get me a little 1-2 view. Stop playing me. Good. All right, cool. Let me see what we got. Yeah. All right, cool. Let's see this. Let me max this so you can see it. Boom, max up. All right, this is where we at. Who the hell is this now? See how long it is? I want to skip. Oh, Capricorn. She did a short little. Okay, cool. So she gonna go into us. Is she gonna go into when she did the lie detector test? Is she gonna go? You gonna see? I testified in your courtroom in this case in May of 2025. As you heard, I worked for Puff from 2004 to 2012. And during that time, I got to know him very well. Since Puff fired me in 2012, he has had me blacklisted from the industry. And I have had to take on multiple jobs to garner anything near my worth. Today, I am a single mother to a nonverbal autistic little boy living in Los Angeles. This ordeal has taken 14 years of my life, my career trajectory, and halted at 33 years old. What I lived through working for Puff, and in particular, the events of December 2011, altered the course of my life and have haunted me for years. I feel that I paid with my life for the events that transpired that fateful day we had to relive in federal court. I never wanted this. For many years, I could not tell my stories and lived in fear of Puff and fear of how I would feed my son. About a year and a half ago, HSI case agents found me and asked me what happened. Those agents changed my life. And I would like to say to the Southern District of New York is the epitome of prestige and professionalism. I was handled with the ultimate of care. But testifying publicly in front of Puff and his supporters was one of the hardest moments of my life. Every last word you heard from me was the truth. Yet I felt, and to be honest, still feel like I had to fight to prove that I am a victim because the purpose of kidnapping me wasn't for sex trafficking. What it was for was something more serious, more sinister, and more grave. Violence and absolute power unchecked in the ultra rich and famous. It's insane to me that all of the things that people heard, 2 counts of tuition of men, is the only thing that remains on the table. I wanted to speak up, tell the truth, and do the right thing when I was asked to testify. But I am afraid that women and girls in America feel less protected than ever watching what just happened. The lesson seemed to be that we should not speak up, not call law enforcement for help, and not say anything, but instead keep our head down and try to make our way. Regardless of what happens to us, I am afraid that this may be one realistic way to proceed in a modern world. The last ray of light is that you provide justice to us. You have a chance to finally help him know that he cannot just do what he wants to do to people. There are repercussions and consequences. He cannot just destroy other people's lives. Karma will come back in hundredfold ways. I would like Sean Combs to serve additional time in a correctional institution. I truly believe that serving more time will save Puff's life, as time away from his money, drugs, and his power is the only punishment that he'll recognize. I hope Puff has life on the other side of his time to make good on the changes that he knows he has to make to spend time with his family and to get the chance to correct the damage that he's so recklessly done to so many people who only meant well by him. Thank you, Your Honor, for your time, your consideration, and for hearing us. Finally, God bless. Capricorn Clark. Crazy. Yeah, they kind of clip Puff. Who this? Like to see who it is, bro. What? Who this? Jane? Gotta be Jane, son. All of this? Come on, this gotta be Jane. Mr. Combs. Oh, this probably the chef. This is not a good man. Oh, this Deontay. Oh, this Deontay Nash. Damn, Deontay wrote a book, bro. Deontay different, bro. Deontay Nash wrote a book, homie. Deontay wrote a book, son. But think about this, though. Everybody could get some bread, though, in some ways. If you experience some trauma, you know what I mean? You can have a civil suit against them. He traumatized you in some way if it's in a 10-year period or something. It's crazy. Nasty work, bro. Nasty work. Let's see what Deontay was saying about it a little bit. Oh, hold on. Who in the chat? Let's see. The ruler said, oh, my man Chris came in there. He said they want him sentenced based off the accusations and not what he was convicted of there, son. It's just based on that. You know what I'm saying? But also, it's not just that. It's just what it really is this. This is what it really is. You know what I mean? What it really is. Hold up. We go back to the comment. Shout out to everybody that's in here with us. Salute. My man Chris. Doe in the chat with us. Yeah, Octavia said free Diddy off for everyone. You know what I mean? But I'm responding to this comment right here. You know what I mean? Shout out to the ruler report. What it is that not only that's what they're really trying to do, though. They're trying to do that. Besides that, they've also lost the big charges. So I think they're trying to get off all the time that they can get off within these 2 counts, which they know he's not going to get 20, but they're trying to push for the max of it. I think it's kind of smart for the prosecution to say, you know what, we push it for 11 years because that's the years that Cassie had to endure. But, you know what I mean? We know that the FOs really, because y'all pushing FOs was the big deal, right? The baby all and all that. So don't act like y'all was thinking about love and marriage. Prosecution I'm talking about. Exactly. So we can start that from 22 when the FOs is first introduced to her. Okay? From that to whatever. And that's about like 9 years or so. Give or take. So could he get it? Yeah. Based on some of these impact statements, yeah. I think it could be impactful. But I also know that everything that's been alleged against you can be brought back against you in as relevant conduct. Even though the jury has found you guilty, not guilty, that means that they couldn't agree to feel that you were guilty of that. You see what I'm saying? It takes 12 to agree on something too as well. And they couldn't agree. So maybe they didn't believe certain. Maybe the prosecution didn't display their case enough. You know what I mean? The judge could sit there though and feel like you're guilty of your charges, even though the jury has acquitted you of all these charges. You feel me? So now the prosecution is going to bring back all of those things that were alleged against you, the fraud, the coercion, the this, the that, and all of those things, even though you've been acquitted of it. This is what they're talking about here. You see what I'm saying? And I'll go to the sentence and the government sentencing memorandum and show you what they're talking about. I'm going to read it. I'm going to tell you. I already know what they're talking about. They're going back into all of that. The beatings, the violence, the dan. They're going into all of that, bro. So just because you only got these 2 interstate charges, ain't no beatings in that, right? There's no beatings in his 2 charges that he got convicted of, right? No. It's paying for 2 men to come through to engage in tuition acts. That's what he's charged with, bro. But yet, abuse and violence keeps being mentioned. Even the judge mentioned it when he denied his bail. He said just based on those things alone, based on the physical violences, you're denied bail. Just based on the physical violence that you and your defense team own up to, because they've owned up to it from the very beginning, from the opening statements. Open the argument, whatever. I'm saying. So will it come back to bite Diddy in the you-know-whats? You know what I mean? It's a nasty one, though. It's a nasty one. Let's see what Deontay's talking about. Some water. Deontay, what you talking about, Deontay, man? Deontay's a trip. Let me see. Deontay's a trip. He was in the court bugging out, son. Straight. Talking about he trying to hook people up with, what's his name? Michael B. Jordan. He was trying to get Cassie Clip hooking up with Michael B. Yo, chill. Yo, Deontay. You know Diddy was on your kufi, son. Don't try to hook up. He said, look, thank you for the opportunity to share these thoughts. I write with great respect for the court and the difficult decision that it must weigh. Mr. Combs' attempt to secure release for his scheduled sentencing hearing demonstrate a troubling lack of accountability and a continued pattern of manipulation. The charges that he was convicted of, including the violations of the Mann Act, are not minor. They reflect serious, deeply disturbing conduct involving the coercion and transportation of individual for illegal sexual activity. The thought that Mr. Combs does not believe that he deserves jail time is both disturbing and frightening. Crazy. It underscored the depth of his lack of accountability and the danger he poses. Someone who refuses to acknowledge the harm that they have caused, who believes that they are above the law, demonstrates the same pattern of manipulation and abuse that has impacted so many lives. The fact that Mr. Combs believes that because he's harmed people he claimed to love or called friends, he somehow deserves leniency is outrageous. That seems, no, he said that sense of entitlement makes his actions even more sickening. Yet Mr. Combs continues to treat this process as negotiable. As he said, as though he is merely managing a legal inconvenience rather than confronting the consequence of federal crimes. His efforts to preempt the court's process show not only a lack of respect for the justice system, but also a refusal to acknowledge the severity of his actions. At one point, there was public indication that Mr. Combs intended to seek professional or mental health treatment. Whether that occurred remains unclear. What is clear, however, is that there has been no visible movement towards accountability. Yeah, I'm telling you, that's that. I spoke about that though, bro, in my last videos, especially when Mark Agnifilo came out and said that Diddy said he's going to be back on the main stage on Madison Square Garden. When Nicole Westmoreland came out and said that they was in talks with Trump, and then they both had to talk those statements back. I don't think that the bravado, I don't think that he being free need to be the talk. From the defense's perspective, I think it needs to be more about some sort of accountability. And all of the things that, hey, all of the things that I was seeing, you know what I'm saying? It's like, we don't see what that change in that process looked like. You know what I'm saying? What does it look like? Yo, listen, I'm going to go about it like this. I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be giving back to charities. I'm going to be giving out to victims. I'm going to be doing speeches. Whatever you think you're going to do, whether people think it's right or wrong, you need to be laying out that. You know what I'm saying? That's why I've been saying we haven't got a chance to hear any of this. So maybe when Diddy gets a chance before his sentencing, maybe he gets a chance to speak. Maybe he can speak. And maybe if he can speak, he could speak of some of these things. We just don't want to hear the surface level stuff. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Listen, just the charges and just his relationship with Cassie or Jane or to any of these other people, which we understand he was acquitted of certain charges. That's one thing. You know what I'm saying? What they want to hear is what you doing to change. Okay, you said you're taking a program in the jail. Okay, whoop-de-doo. Like Young Thug said, whoop-de-doo, bro. Okay, we understand that once you're in the facilities like that, you're going to take programs, whether you rehabilitating or not. You're going to do these things because these little programs and things help you with sentencing, help you with getting things off your time. It shows good if you go to the board or whatever. You know what I mean? Things like that. These little programs help you with that. That don't mean that you're going to really, really learn, because really the best programs that he's really going to get is outside in the free world. Come on. How really good do you think is a program in jail going to be, bro? Come on, let's stop, bro. Let's be real with each other, bro. Them people that working in jail, people don't want to work every day, no matter where they at, Burger King, wherever they at. You think people really want to work in the jail? Unless they really in there doing some illegal shit and they got some friends that's in the jail? Come on, bro. Who really, really want to work? Think about it. And you in a jail at that, risking your damn life. Think about it, bro. Let's really think about it, son. Trust me, son. If you got to mop a floor, son, you might mop half the shit because you don't really want to work. Just be real, son. So think about that. But I just think like I think that these impact statements are one also these impact statements, they're very like strategic. You know what I'm saying? Because Cassie came in one aspect, the family pushed for their time. Capricorn Clark came and pushed to, I mean, at least to the senses of knowing him from this time, and this will not change him. He has to stay in jail. Now here comes Deontay Nash pushing that he's pushing this lack of like this power trip that he's on. So they kind of, so you know what I'm saying? It's like it's a lot for the judge. It's a lot. It's a lot for the judge. I'm going you. His violence has not been limited to private encounters. The orchestrated FOs to assault on staff and strangers, his behaviors have left a long trail of victims, many whom still live in fear. Some of the worst abuse was inflicted on people who he claimed to love. This is not the story of one or two isolated incidents. This is a story of hundreds, possibly thousands of people whose lives have been scarred by his unchecked power and brutality. Mr. Combs must also refrain from comparing his crimes to those of others. Wow. No, they not. No, they not. No, Deontay. Yo, Deontay's coming for his goofy. What? Remember, they cited a couple of cases. They cited the Chavez case as one, and they cited the Stebic, Trowbridge, and Tills case, which was a case that these three guys was caught up in the tuitions, the same charge that he got, interstate tuition, carrying some women to another location, cross state lines to do the acts. But it wasn't for money though. It was like he was just busting toots. One of them, Trowbridge or Tills, or one of them was busting toots. And then his man's, he like, yo, I got some toots. And his man's was busting toots. And then he was like, yo, what up? He was talking to the toots. He like, yo, what up? Yo, I got some homeboys, some fraternity brothers. They probably cross state lines, wherever. They over here somewhere. Because it's in New York, they got charged. So probably they carried them to Buffalo, upstate, whoever knows, whatever. I knew at the time, but I'm telling you. So he carried them cross state lines. So this is where they got the charges. But at that time, they never got remanded. So they was able to be freed and wait till their trial and go to trial free, back and forth to their trial until their trial was over, which one of them received like a year in jail and the other two guys received probation. But the other two guys had less involvement. One guy only traveled with the women to the place once. He brought them across the state lines, but he never bust them. He never had no SEX with them. The other guy traveled maybe a couple of times with them, but I think he bust them. But he himself traveled like 6 or 7 times with them, and he was just clipping them. So they gave him the year. So that's why Diddy's people was trying to say he should get the 14 months. You see what I'm saying? 15 months would be like excessive if he even gets the 15 months. You know what I'm saying? So now for him, Deontay Nash, to come here and say this now is big boss. Who's saying this? Is it Deontay? Does Deontay think like this? Does the prosecution think like this? Jinkies, yes, they do. So regardless of the fact, the prosecution is going to take your statement and they're going to dress it up. They're going to make it look right. They're going to put whatever their parts they think in it. They're going to make each statement vary so they all come to the same point, but they don't, because you can see the same words that's in them. Why would they both say the same words? Like the trajectory of my career and things like that. Mia said this. Capricorn Clark said the same exact words, the trajectory of my career. Why? See what I'm saying? The prosecution is tailoring this to go in the way they want it to go. Obviously, Capricorn Clark, Deontay Nash, Cassie, whoever else has signed off on it to say, all right, no, that expresses how I feel. You know what I'm saying? You might draw up something, send it to them. Then they send you back something, say, look at this. You say, nah, that actually, and I think that was some of this, because I don't know how Deontay Nash would say this. See what I'm saying? But this still hurts Diddy. This line right here hurts Diddy a lot. Okay? As much as when Cassie said, they talking about some modern love story. She said this wasn't no modern, this is with no love. This is some horror. That's harsh. That's harsh for Diddy. All right, cool. Mr. Combs must also refrain from comparing his life and his crimes, to those of others. His conduct stands on its own and has set a new legal and cultural precedent. Son, listen what I'm saying. I just told you this. That the judge right now is going to have to set precedents with this because this is an extraordinary case. We understand that the defense team was also citing that this is an extraordinary case, which was trying to give him reasons for bail, citing some other people that then got freed from jail, right, based on the conditions. But that guy was an older man and was having maybe some health complication, maybe heart, lung-related complications. So that's why that person was freed from jail. And this is why they said, no, Diddy. That man was older. He was going through whatever. That's not what you're dealing with right now. I know you're in there with some situations, but just chill. And that's why the judge said no. See what I'm saying? Cool. So now his conduct stands on its own and has set a new legal and cultural precedent. This is no doubt, this is not about relative wrongdoing. It is about individual accountability for a decades-long pattern of abuse. There are many reasons why Mr. Combs should serve an appropriate sentence. Psychological impact on victims. His release would re-traumatize survivors, many of whom remain in hiding for their safety. The court has a duty to uphold justice and protect those speaking out. Influence over potential co-conspirators. Release would allow him to coordinate with uncharged associates to retaliate or construct false narratives. No remorse or accountability. To date, he has shown no genuine remorse, only carefully crafted statements issued under legal pressure. This lack of accountability should weigh heavily against any request for release. Public safety concerns. And finally, the allegations include violent physical abuse, death threats, and intimidations, and his release would endanger survivors and the public at large. Beyond legal concern, I want the court to understand the very real lived impact of Mr. Combs' abuse. This man has harassed everyone around us, including friends and business associates, so relentlessly that people no longer wanted to work with us or even spend time with us. We were ashamed to leave the house. The balcony he hung Bonner from, a place that once offered peace, became a site of terror. Cited that in there. Damn, did it really happen? Because you know that the way Bonner got cooked up on the stage, it kind of was making it seem that Bonner lied or that Cassie and her was in some kind of coercive plot to put together the play because they couldn't agree where the thing took place. Cassie said it took place in a hotel room and another girl was there. And Bonner said, no, it took place in I think it's Stockton address. And he hung me off your balcony. So, and then they weren't speaking at one time, and then they got back together to speak around the time of Cassie's lawsuit. So it was a lot of little things about Cassie and Bonner's relationship that made me think like Cassie and Bonner were scheming or plotting, strategizing to bomb first on some pocket. You know what I'm saying? In some ways when you read it. But the balcony from that Bonner hung from, it offered peace, became a site of terror. The home he held me in against my will was my own. The keys and phone he stole were possessions I had earned through years of hard work, and he robbed me not only of safety, but of dignity. His reach was suffocating. He has caused lasting damage to the lives and careers of nearly everyone in his inner circle, past, present, and likely future. Some complied willingly, many more felt coerced. He taunted victims through songs that contradicted the truth, creating false narratives that could never safely be challenged because of the fear that he instilled. He pursued Cassie through her friends, despite both of us telling him she wanted no contact, and tried to manipulate situations by offering favors if I helped deliver her to him. He has openly declared to his victims that he does not respect or care about the legal systems. If he does not respect the court should not extend him any leniency. I do this not just for myself, but for every mother, father, child, grandparent, sister, brother, boyfriend, husband, wife, friend. This is Deontay Nash, man. This is him, John. This is the person he is. I do this, and he animated. I do this not just for myself, But for every mother, father, child, grandparent, sister, brother, boyfriend, husband, wife, friend, artist, intern, employee, and assistant who sacrificed for a man who only abused them in return, I have watched people take trains, move across the country, leave their families, and dedicate themselves fully, only to be mistreated, exploited, and silenced. Some of these same people have even left the entertainment industry entirely because of his actions. This issue is not only about violence, but also secrecy. Many of us were abused precisely because Mr. Combs wanted us to hold his secrets to maintain his reputation. The truth is, Mr. Combs never respected those who worked closest to him and with him. He rummaged through our lives while publicly pretending to suffer through hard times. He refuses to take responsibility privately or publicly, and the abuse was deliberate. The control was relentless, and the damage is lasting. The same ailments Mr. Combs now claims as an excuse are the very ones he has carried with him throughout his years of touring, conducting business, and abusing those around him. They never stopped him from being violent, abusive, or intoxicated when left to his own devices. They should not serve as an excuse now. True change cannot exist without acknowledging the harm that one has caused. Claiming to have changed while continuing to defend the very behavior that led to incarceration is not accountability. It is avoidance. Mr. Combs repeatedly shifts between denying responsibility, seeking sympathy, and reshaping the narrative to suit his immediate needs. Real transformation is consistent, honest, and uncomfortable. It does not depend on who is watching or what outcome is desired. Until he confronts his own actions as wrong and takes full responsibility, any claim of change is hollow. I do not expect him to be in jail forever, but I am praying for a sentence that allows the victims to heal and encourages Mr. Combs to genuinely change. For all these reasons, I respectfully urge the court to deny his request for early release and deny his 14-month suggestion. He has been fighting the truth for the past year, and this ongoing denial is causing additional harm to the mental health and the mental well-being of the victims. Survivors deserve safety. The public deserves protection, and justice demands accountability. Judge, this is not a good man. Thank you so much for your time, Judge Abram Submarinian. Your consideration means a great deal to me and to the victims. Respectfully, Chicken Scratch, Deontay Nash, and Exhibit F. Oh, Chef Jordan, here you go. I don't want to read you. Hey, you want to send the whole book? No, I'm done with her. Chef Jordan. Oh, I'm done.
Oh no, you can't.
God.
That is some bullshit.
Chef Jordan,
right there.
Kid rocks. Kid rocks, homie. Yo, bro, how's she gonna come out and write a whole book right now? When people wanted you to come pop out in the court. People wanted you to come pop out in the court, woman. That's crazy. That's nasty work. That's nasty work. I'm not gonna hold you. That's nasty. Chef Jordan. Oh my God, what you got to say? Hold on one second, y'all. Give me 1 second. Let me take 2 pulls of this. Oh, bro, that's nasty, bro. Chef Jordan, son? Nah, that's crazy, bro. That's nasty work, bro. If that's the case, you should have popped out in the court, bro. How you ain't pop out in the court, but then you want to write a whole book? Or was this her first letter that she been wrote and they just pushing it out now? What is this? It's crazy. I'm just going to read some of this to see what the hell's going on. This was Sean Combs' personal chef from summer 2007 through the spring of 2010. She says, during my time, I can say, hold on, man, 2 pulls for Chef Jordan. Hold up. And I still got the other 100 or something pages to read. So I'm going to do that on the next stream. It's crazy. I'm going to try to get it out, at least get some of it off as much as I can. All right. During my time, I can say, everybody hit the poll that's here. It doesn't matter who's here. YouTube be acting up with the notifications. Make sure that y'all have the notifications on all if you're not getting my notifications at all. Unsubscribe, subscribe back, and hit the notification bell to all. All right. During my time, I can say that I was extremely overworked, underpaid, mentally abused, exploited, and at one point I was assaulted by Sean Combs. Not only was I exploited by Sean Combs, I was also exploited by his HR executive staff. Throughout my time there, they would constantly manipulate me into silence and staying in my position by saying that they would get help to ensure I had off days. There was so, come on, man. Come on, bro. I don't care about your job, bro. Hold up, man. Let me see. Skip. Over the head about your job, lady. Straight. This was the toxic and abusive workplace. Okay, let's go from there. Environment that I've ever been in my entire career. It was extremely traumatizing to relive all of this. It was hard to live through the first time around in my mid-20s. Now in my mid-40s, a lot of things I was too young and naive to understand, but the reality of it all is cemented in my mind now. I have spent the past year and a half in a constant fight state or flight mode, and I am currently trying to heal and repair all of the damage. There was also a time in which Sean Combs threatened my life to keep me silent about his abuse towards Cassandra Ventura Fine. I have a journal from this time that I've never read until Cassie's case came out in November 2023, and it was like opening Pandora's box and reading what my 20-year-old self endured. I was there to witness the start of Sean Combs and Cassie's relationship. This has been an extremely traumatizing time in my life the past year and a half, having to unearth the past and relive it all again. I have never forgot what I experienced during my time there, but I for sure buried it in order to survive. I spent the past 18 years building my career in the high profile sector, and this case has destroyed that life I worked so hard to create. When you become personal staff to high profile people, you become part of a secret society. Discretion is the foundation. I didn't willingly participate in this case. What I recognize now, this is what happens with collective silence. My silence gave Sean Combs the space and time to grow into a more violent criminal. It's not good. When I started working for Sean Combs, he and Cassandra were in the grooming phase. What? That's how she described it? That's crazy. That's crazy. So then that's why they pushed her for the 11. They saying that he spent the first couple of years grooming her, basically, just preparing her for the FOs. So that's what the prosecution is basically saying. So if you feel that, then, you know what I mean? You could feel that. You know what I'm saying? Because she was 19. She was younger. He was 32 or something crazy. You know what I mean? You could know better. You should know better. You're a grown man. And you wouldn't want nobody treating your daughter like this at all. You'd have probably been in jail right now, Diddy, if somebody was even trying to do any of this to his daughters. Straight up. So therefore, that's kind of, you know what I mean? Look, she was 19. He was 36. My bad. He was 36. What I said, 32? 36 years old. My bad. It's crazy. So you're supposed to do better by this. Just based on this alone, it's 36 and this, yeah, you're supposed to do better by that. There were lavish dinners, shopping sprees, etc., all in the guise of creating a new artist. Sean was working her down like men with money do. I was there in Miami when their working relationship turned romantic during that weekend when they kissed in the bathroom and they had sex in the boat. I saw Cassandra provided copious amounts of D-rugs. I encountered her extremely high, out of her mind, and offered her food to help bring her down. I witnessed Sean cursing his assistant, David James, out for not having condoms on the yacht. I remember thinking that it was crazy and gross. Like, why is he so mad about condoms not being on the yacht? It's never that serious. It stuck out in my mind because that's when I knew that this was no longer a working relationship. They were both extremely high the whole weekend, and really thereafter, I saw Sean abuse prescription meds, weed, and ecstasy. Throughout those early months, it was heavy D-rug use. I saw him extremely controlling, and I would say that there was an obsessive nature about them. He would go on D-rug binges about them. Obsessive nature about them or him. Obsessive nature about their relationship. Is he saying both from Cassie and him? That's a key word for us to look at. This them, that's right here. See what I'm saying? Why is it them and not him? All right. He would go on the D-Rug binges and he wouldn't let any of us sleep, let alone get any breaks. I was working 17 to 21 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I worked for almost 2.5 to 3 months straight until my first off day. Damn, she worked for like damn near 3 years before her first off day. For 17 to 21 hours a day for 7 days a week. He screamed and cursed at me when he saw me having casual conversation with Cassie. He said that I wasn't supposed to be talking to her, that if it wasn't about food. He also cursed me out when he saw me speaking to guests at one of his parties. He was watching me from across the room. Then he pulled me aside and said that I wasn't supposed to be talking to his friends, that he didn't work all these years for me to come and steal his relationships. Sean Combs, that's crazy. Sean Combs would cure me out. Would cure me out? Curse. Sean, this is what I'm saying. How they put this thing out? This thing got grammatical errors. This thing got spell check errors. What? When was this from? When was this from? Was this the first thing that they just threw in the statement that they got from her from the very beginning? Just threw it in there and say, look, this is the statement from her. This is an impact statement from her. Boom. Is that or is this new, bro? Why is it looking like that? Why don't her statement look like everybody else's that's new? Why does it look like this? Why can't I look? Why it's like a picture? Why can't I make it blue? Remember when I did it on the other lines and I highlight the line? Why can't I? Why this is like a picture? Think about that, bro. I think that this is an old thing from what she been had and they threw it in here. That's what this is. But they put it in as far as an impact statement because she never got to speak during the trial, but she was the person that knows him well. So then that's how come they threw this in there. So that's crazy. They should have got something new from her. He said he would curse me out if I fed people without permission. See, would cure me out. See, cure me out. So I'm saying this is weird. He made me feel like I had to look at the floor and not make eye contact with guests. I'd say like a pimp does to his women. During this time in November 2007, while at the Miami estate, I witnessed Sean Combs get aggressive and borderline violent with the estate manager, Amanda. He was enraged by the fact that Amanda was allowing her house staff to eat. When Sean Combs questioned her about it, she lied and she said she never told me to feed them. Amanda and I actually got into a disagreement about me feeding the staff because I told her I wasn't being paid to do that. I actually called HR to get clarity. They informed me that I was supposed to feed them. And one day, Sean Combs observed the groundskeeper making themselves a plate, even though I said they shouldn't because he hadn't even eaten yet himself. Of course, as they are making their plates, he comes downstairs. Once he sees this, he immediately starts screaming and cursing about who told them that they could eat. I stood there silent. I didn't want to get anyone in trouble. I couldn't tell if he was that furious. Ultimately, Sean Combs' security told him that Amanda told me that I was supposed to feed them. Sean Combs then called both Amanda and I into the kitchen. He started screaming and cursing at Amanda, saying, why is she lying? Why is she telling me to feed her staff? Ultimately, as he's screaming, he gets up and he throws a bottle of water across the room, saying, I'm the mother effing king. You are lying to my mother effing face, or to my effing face right now. Amanda was saying that she told me to only provide leftovers to her staff. I told her to just tell him the truth. Once he threw the bottle of water, I got up and called Dia in HR, and I used a phone where he couldn't see me. I asked Dia what I should do because I thought that he might hit Amanda, and I was instructed to get security to separate them, which I did, all while leaving the phone down on a ledge so Dia could hear everything. Amanda resigned not long after that incident. I believe it fractured their working relationship. Amanda and I never recovered. She blamed me for the incident. Soon after this trip, my hair started falling out because I was having anxiety attacks and heart palpitations. And I asked HR if they could rush my benefits through because I needed to see a doctor. I was diagnosed with stress-induced alopecia and extreme anxiety attacks. I was prescribed Zoloft. Throughout This time, I was constantly calling the office asking for help and begging for off days. When you work 17 to 21 hours a day, you never really rest because your body and mind are still racing when you lay down. And by that time, you have to get up for the next day. HR kept stringing me along, saying that they would get me help so I could have off days. I was so young and I just wanted to prove I could do it. So I stayed, thinking at some point that things would change, but they never did. In April of 2008, I was at Alpine, New Jersey estate where Sean Combs physically assaulted me. We got into a heated argument and I quit, which enraged him. He kept saying that I couldn't quit on him, effing quit on him. As I was walking out of the house, he was following me, screaming, cursing, and berating me. Once the door was open, Sean Combs used all of his might to push me out the door. I went flying in the air and ended up on my elbows and butt, where there were 2 steps to get up into the house, so it was a pretty hard fall. I called the police but hung up. I called HR and told them I was going to sue him. Ultimately, HR told me, see, ultimately HR, see what I'm saying? This is not new. This is old, y'all. Ultimately, HR told me that I would be blackballed and my career would never, when my career would be over if I sued him. They said that Sean had the power to blackball me and would end my career when it just started. I chose my career and I stayed quiet. I left for a few months, but I was asked to come back. I was assured that this would never happen again, that Sean Combs would apologize and that they would find help so I could get off days. HR said that they would look at budgets for a pay increase. At this time, I was only making $65K. I wasn't working after I left. So when they called, I went back. Sean apologized. Look, Sean is SEAD. Look, see what I'm saying? Apologize, but none of the other things ever happened. See what I'm saying? You see how they writing it, right? Twit. In 2008, let me see how much she wrote, bro. Come on, bro. Tired of this lady, bro. And if you really wanted it, come to court, bro. Come to court, man. Come to court. Tired of you, Chef Jordan. I like how she write her why, though. See how she like why? Come on, bro. You came in. This is some old work anyway. Get out of here, bro. That should look like the old paperwork. Get out of here, bro. I'm trying to hit us with that. Look, I'm just gonna scroll this slow so y'all can see like that. Right. They're trying to hit us with the old work, son. They think they slick, bro. They're not. They're really, really not slick, bro. Look, they're not slick, bro. They're not slick. Look, they're not slick. All right, listen, you got whatever. What happened? Where's the actual abuse with you? That's what I want to read about. What's going on? Okay, over the course of time, working with Sean Combs, I saw hotel rooms be set up with light sheets, baby oils, and astroglides. Okay. I had always assumed that it was freaky things going on, but never knew the extent. I dared not to ask. I saw Sean Combs yell, scream, berate staff, artists, employees, and girlfriends. He was always mentally and physically abusive. I saw Cassie bruised on 2 other occasions in Miami and LA, but never questioned it. Sean Combs weaponized food, sleep, and breaks. We were not allowed breaks. I'm not talking about you, what you went through. Come to court. Come to court. Straight. And now you want to come with the big work. Come on, bro. Come on. If you came out with all of this stuff in the beginning, maybe that changes the jury's perception, bro. So I can't really jack people that, you know what I mean? You want to say I believe in victims, but do y'all really believe in victims? Bro, let's think about it. People that Diddy was Diddy's friend, do they really believe in Diddy? Ain't nobody pop out for him. Some people that supposed to come out and speak for the victim, they ain't pop out for no victim. So what the hell are we doing here, bro? I think it's a lot of farce. And that don't look like nothing new. That don't look like no new work. That's some old work. There's some old work, bro. I'm not stupid. That's some old work. Old work, bro. Old work. Straight. So we're not gonna do it to ourselves. But I do have something else that I have to read. It's a lot, bro. It's a lot to go through, bro. But I think I might do that one a little different. I might drop the links on that one. We could go through it too. Some of y'all probably want to hit the link. I can hit the link. Shit. We can chop it up about it. And think about, you know what I mean? We could speculate, talk about what we think about the case, or yeah, everybody's able to hit the link and we can have a conversation about it. That's what I think I want to do. Because I want to know what y'all thinking about it. And I just don't want to read y'all words. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. I got many channels and I'm not with the reading shit. I like people getting up, chopping it, speaking their mind, lifting their voices. Straight. Silence only aids abusers, bro. We need to speak our minds. Silence only aids a motherfucker who ain't trying to change some shit. That's why you're trying to be hiding and silent about some stuff. See what I'm saying? Silence never helped nobody, bro. Never helped nobody, bro. Not in no real situation. You don't want a motherfucker to be silent when you're going through some real shit. Sometimes it's good to be quiet, homie. But anytime you're going through some real shit, you don't want nobody to be silent, man. Speak up, right? Exactly. So we're going to keep that in our mind. Salute to everybody in the building, though. I don't know what y'all think is going to be for Diddy. I got a 180. Let me just show y'all what I'm talking about because y'all think I be capping. Hold up. Let me show y'all, bro. It's 180 some pages, bro. It's not even a joke. Is this the same thing? No, it can't be that. Got to be this one. Look. Gangster, look. Introduction. Okay, introduction. Look. Boom. You already see the pages, bro. Stop. Okay. So you already see what the work looking like. Okay. So that's what we got to get into next. So I'm gonna count this like an hour so people could just come back and maybe just want to read it or just listen, take a listen with that one. And I think this impacts Diddy though. I think this is gonna probably hurt him, you know, more than it's gonna help him. You know what I mean? Whether people want to be optimistic, okay, cool. I'm an optimistic person, bro. You know what I'm saying? The fire, I can be in the fire. Think I'm gonna get out the fire. You know what I mean? So I get it. You know what I'm saying? I get it, especially when you're in those buildings. I get it, bro. It's good to be positive and try to be as positive as you can be when you're facing charges. I get it. But just the way it was tailored, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if these people wrote these things on their own, had help on this, or wrote what they felt and gave it to the prosecution, and the prosecution dressed it up for them, or the prosecution drafted something up based on their stories or their whatever they felt and sent it to them and said, any correction that you want me to change it. That happened somewhere because just the way it's written out, the way it got consistencies of things that's being said in each thing, normal people just don't speak in certain ways, or we're all just not going to say the same thing in the same way in an impact statement. We're all going to speak differently from where we're from. You know what I'm saying? We're all going to speak different. I mean, from where we're from in ourselves, from where we're from in the world, we're just going to speak things differently. See what I'm saying? So, but I still think they come to affect Diddy, and I think it's going to hurt him. I really, really do. Honestly, I think it's due. I don't know if it hurts him to the fact that he gets 11 years, though. You know what I mean? I don't know. You know what I mean? But the 11 years, I think for them to think about that, I think it's pretty smart on the prosecution's end, because I was like, 11 years? Him and Cassie was together for 11 years. So that's pretty smart. You know what I'm saying? The defense been doing good things. The prosecution, this was a battle, bro, on both sides, bro. No matter if you was on the defense's side, no matter if you was on the prosecution side, it was a battle the whole way, bro. And it still is. The battle's not over yet. You know what I'm saying? And they still battling. But I think it was pretty smart for the defense to come up to say, because they want to make the judge see the 11 years, see the things that the jury didn't even see, and see that this woman was brutalized for 11 years or whatever the case may be. Even though I'm saying the first couple of years of their relationship from 19 to 22, you could say it's the grooming period, but she started doing FOs at 22. So will he get 11? Will he get 10? Will he get 5? Will he get the 2? Will he get the 14 months? What do y'all think that he's going to get? Y'all get in the comments and y'all let me know.
All my niggas from the Uda. All my niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn racks. All my niggas turn shooters. On the internet, you ain't been a threat. You been stuck in a computer. All my niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn racks. All my niggas from the Uda. All my niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn racks. All my niggas turn shooters. On the internet, you ain't been a threat. You been stuck in a computer. Show me the proof. All my niggas turn shooters. All my niggas from the Uda. Welcome to the Uda. All my niggas from the Uda. All my niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn racks. All my niggas turn shooters. On the internet, you ain't been a threat. You been stuck in a computer. Show me the proof. All my niggas turn shooters. All my niggas from the Uda. Welcome to the Uda. All of my niggas insane. They tryna catch a mistake. Young niggas putting in pain. It in the game, all for the game. Niggas ain't playing for nothing. Went in school, laying it bang. My little nigga kill my little nigga. Full-time job not to kill niggas. Jump off the porch of the field, nigga. You was in the house, I'm a field nigga. No fuck boys around real niggas. Been a drug dealer since a little nigga, huh? To get a kilo, they'll kill a nigga. Fuck how you feel, nigga, to get some kilo.